Hi everyone. Well, as you can probably tell, I'm back down in the western Arizona desert, and it's been hotter than hell down here, which is why we try to get out of here as often as we can in the summertime. I think it was 111 here yesterday and 117 I think in Havasu, so it's brutal. But in any case, wanted to update you a couple of things from the last time we spoke. I finally got episode 1, part 1 and 2 and 3 up now for viewing. I just posted part 3 yesterday, had to divide it into 3 sections. So if you get an opportunity, I'd recommend that you go and view that at Desertsagepodcasts.com or HavasuPatriots.com in the media sections of both of those websites. I wanted to make a correction from the last video. And I do the best I can to try to be accurate with the things that I say, and I don't always get it right, and I'll be the first one to admit that. So when I make a mistake, I want to try to come back and correct it. In the last video, I had Latin on the brain. When I described the word anarchy, I said it came from the Latin suffix. It wasn't Latin, it's Greek. It was the Greek suffix "an," which means without, and archon, which means ruler. So it means without rulers. It doesn't mean without rules. It doesn't mean chaos. Those are all the things that you've been conditioned to believe. Just like when I use the term occult, immediately if what popped into your mind was, the Hollywood version of people out in the forest sacrificing cats, you've been conditioned to believe that. It's been by design. It's to keep you from looking at those things. And oftentimes, and you'll never hear any of your religious leaders talking about any of the things that I'm talking about here. And nothing that I've said up to this point should alarm anybody in terms of common sense, judgment, morality, truth. If what I'm saying doesn't resonate at all with you, well then you shouldn't watch. Do something else. Go play video games. Whatever it is that you do. Spend your day on your fondle slab. Whatever. In any case, I wanted to make that correction. You're going to find that on occasion I'm going to be at a loss for words. I do the best I can here. I don't operate from a script generally. I just don't. I like to speak from the heart the best I can, and I found that seems to resonate with people a lot more. But I'll say a lot. These productions aren't going to be perfect, but I will tell you that I'm going to improve on them. That I can guarantee you. So in any case, I wanted you to get the concepts of the things that I'm saying. Grasp the concepts. Take that 10,000 foot view of the things that I'm saying, and try to keep that open mind. One of the other things that I would recommend that you do, if you do watch the videos that I present, is watch them in order that I present them, starting with the introductory video, and then go from there. The reason is that there's prerequisite knowledge in there. This is building blocks. We're trying to create a mosaic here, and it requires prerequisite knowledge. Just like in college, you'd have to take prerequisite classes. You couldn't jump into an advanced physics class before you took basics physics class. Same thing with math, so on and so forth. So I'd recommend that you watch them in order that I present them. And hopefully they will get better as I go along here, so bear with me. One of the concepts that I've talked about a lot, and in the last video I had several of them. I've asked you to do mental exercises where you, one in particular where you ask yourself, where do our rights come from? And what is a right from a wrong? So we're going to touch on that concept here and try to dispel any of the complexity that you might have had about what a right is, where our rights come from, and what is the difference between a right and a wrong. So let's get into it. Generally we think about rights. We think about all the things that we can do, that we have the right to do. And all rights are, let's just start off, all rights are property rights. All rights are property rights. And if you don't understand that concept, go back and watch the videos that I talked about. Whether we're talking about life is a form of property right. So all rights are property rights. Let's start from that premise as it is. So we have the right to do a lot of things. I can do a lot of, my body is my property. And when I say that, it means I have ownership. I've obtained it legally. The creator of the universe gave it to me, it's mine. I can do with it as I wish. Same thing with my property. I'm on 40 acres. I can pretty much do what I want to on my property. It's my property. I've obtained it lawfully. I'll probably never own it because of the government and taxes, but let's not go down that path right now. But all rights are property rights. So we have the right to do pretty much anything we want to with my body, my property. Just to use it as an example, if you wanted to walk over and grab a cup of bleach and drink it, you could. Wouldn't recommend it, but you could. So there are thousands and millions of things that we have the right to do. When we talk about rights, we're going to define what a right is in the apophatic sense. And when I say apophatic, what I mean is that term means affirmation through negation. We're going to determine what a right is by determining what it is not. So we've already determined that we have the right to do pretty much anything we want with our property. I own vehicles. If I wanted to run them into a telephone pole, I can do that. As long as I'm not causing harm to somebody else or somebody else's property, I'm pretty much free to do what I want to. And again, when we talk about rights and wrongs, we have a tendency to make it real complex when it's real simple. And I'm going to give you this illustration here. If we determine that we pretty much have the right to do anything that we want to with our property, that which belongs to us, what I want you to do is visualize a chart now and divide it in half. And on the left-hand side, you have, up at the top, you have rights, and on the right-hand side, you have a wrong. Okay. So let's start underneath the column of the left-hand side where it says right. When we talk about right, there's dual meaning to right. A right means, being right means you are correct. So underneath right, it means, you're right. It means you're correct. So underneath right, we're going to put the word correct. Which, if you go over to wrong, by inference, if it's not correct, you are incorrect. You are wrong. So put incorrect underneath the wrong column. Go back over to the left-hand side of the right column. Right also has a moral meaning. It has a moral meaning as well. We have the right to do anything we want with our property, that which belongs to us. But what we cannot do is any action that's going to cause a harm to another sentient being. And when I say sentient, that just means with the capacity, ability to feel sensations, feelings, humans, in essence. As long as that action doesn't cause a harm to another, doesn't result in action, or that action doesn't result in harm to another sentient being, that is also a right. You may do that. Whereas you go over to the other side, a wrong is incorrect. The actions result in harm, when conducted, result in harm to another sentient human being. It is a wrong. The wrongs that we don't have a right to commit are 7. And they're not the 7 deadly sins that you might have been told either in church or in Hollywood version. You probably saw this film 7, talked about the 7 deadly sins. Those are vices. Those are vices. Pride, gluttony, wrath, lust. And primarily those affect you internally. Eat too much, you're going to get fat. Have too much pride. All of these things affect you internally, whereas morality generally is an expression that occurs on the outside of you, things that you do externally that when conducted cause harm to other people, and there's 7 of them. Murder, rape, assault, theft, trespass, coercion, and lying. And these are all forms of theft. Murder is the theft of life. Rape is the theft of your right to bodily autonomy. Assault is theft of your right to not be harmed. So you understand where we're going with this. Coercion is the theft of a person's free will choice to make a decision about what they do with their property. You saw a lot of that during the COVID fraud. Corporations and governments coerced employees into getting a biological experimental poison. And lying is the theft of a person's right to obtain the truth. So they're all forms of theft. So the lesson here is don't steal. Don't take that which is not yours. That doesn't belong to you. And in the last video, I went back to the doctrine of original sin. Probably made a lot of Christians angry, so be it. Where I talked about the concept of, what I see as the esoteric meaning behind the fall of man, where Adam and Eve eating of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. And it goes something like this. Eve took within herself, which she ate, which you have to look at the original definition of the term eat. She took within herself the right to determine good from bad, good from evil. And then she shared that knowledge with Adam. They took within themselves the right to determine good from evil. The creator of the universe put those conditions, those boundary conditions in place for humanity. And he said, you don't get to choose. That's moral relativism. I am the creator of the universe. I set these boundary conditions in place, moral law, natural law, which are those boundary conditions that we talked about in that video. I put those in place. You don't get to take within yourself the right to determine right from wrong, good from evil. That is for me to determine. And so natural law are those boundary conditions that is put in place. Moral law are those boundary conditions that are in place that govern the behavior of sentient human beings. And you either live in alignment with natural law or you live in opposition to it. And when you live in opposition to it, you suffer. When your consciousness, the manifestation of your thoughts, your emotions, and your actions aren't in alignment, in other words, when you think one way, you feel another way, and you act totally contradictory, you suffer. You're not unified. You're divided. And that's what these dark occultists want to do. They want to divide you within yourself first. They want to divide your mind. They want to divide you from each other. They want to divide us from each other. They want to divide us from the divine. And I mentioned this is as much a spiritual war as anything else. We are spiritual beings in a physical body. To think that all we are is just matter puts you in that nihilistic category. The person that thinks that there's no purpose to existence. No reason for me to be here. I'm just here. I'm born. I'm going to do my time and I'm going to check out. Well, if that's what you believe, then this podcast series is definitely for you. It's definitely for you. If you don't know who you are, what your purpose is, and you don't ever ask those questions, why am I here? Those existential questions that we talked about in the last video that affect your worldview. Why am I here? What's my purpose? Is there a purpose for me to even be here? You know, or is life meaningless? Is it predetermined or is it random? Is everything up to God? Or is it just whatever happens, happens? Or is there a free will component? Do you understand that free will component and that natural law component, that randomness aspect and that determinist aspect? The randomness aspect is your free will choice to make decisions. The creator of the universe gave it to us, and they're trying to destroy it, little by little. And it's working. It's working. You know, people are so demoralized now. They're so confused, in such a state of confusion. Part of the reason that I'm doing these videos is to help provide some clarity. You know, and look, again, I'm not perfect. I would not recommend that, you know, I got off the path. And I would not recommend that you follow the path that I took, because that is the path of maximum pain. Let's just put it that way. You don't want to go down that path. But I've gotten back on the path. And that path is the path of the understanding of truth. And my purpose, what I'm trying to do here, is to get others to do the same thing. Because your beliefs affect my freedom. And, you know, a lot of those people that think that I wasn't talking to them when I talked about your belief in the illegitimate belief in the authority of government. Those that still think that some politician, somebody else should be able to dictate what it is that we do, how much we pay in taxes, and we have some kind of a moral obligation to obey. It's never worked out in history. You say, well, you know, a lot of people say, well, we've always had governments throughout history. We've always had the status quo. There's always been rulers over us. That's been the problem. I don't think we've ever tried, well, there have been pockets of anarchy throughout history, but we've never really given it a try. Our forefathers had the concept, they understood what it was, and tried to minimize the impact that government was going to have on us. Did the best they could. It's not a perfect document. We get that. They weren't perfect people. I'm not perfect. But back to my point, all I am is just a voice. I'm just a voice. I'm just putting information out there. I don't claim to be some guru. I don't know it all. I am on that path, and I'm learning every step of the way. The reason I'm on that path and I can see that path is because there have been other people that have gone before me that have laid that path out. People that are far greater than me. I'm just a simple man, just out here trying to fight for truth and freedom and trying to end slavery. And the way that I'm trying to do that is to de-occult this knowledge that's been hidden, that's been kept from humanity. The knowledge about natural law and the knowledge about how human consciousness works. And they have hijacked it. They have manipulated it. They continue to do that. And in episode 2, we're going to be talking about those methods of manipulation. All the ways in which these dark occultists, remember we made the distinction between dark occultists and light occultists, those that understand the knowledge and wield it in a way that's for the betterment of mankind, the light occultists, those that are trying to de-occult knowledge and level the playing field for everyone. So we're going to be talking about those methods of manipulation, the ways in which they divide and conquer us, both internally and externally, the way they create mental schisms or divisions in your mind through things like obfuscation of the truth. If you want to think about obfuscation just simply means hiding or concealing it, distorting it. The media is excellent at this. They sprinkle little bits of truth in there. You know, when you hear some of these talk show people, and it doesn't matter whether it's Fox or whether it's, MSNBC, they're all the same. They're all the same. They'll sprinkle half-truths in there. Make it plausible to believe. Mix a little of it in the cake batter. Put on, pretty faces and fancy clothes and backdrops and all of that, and sound believable. So we'll talk about obfuscation. We'll talk about control of the media, control of finances. We'll talk about the role religion plays. That one's going to be a hot button topic. Sure to piss some people off. But we're going to define the term religion. When we say religion, what does that mean? Well, religion has two meanings. And if, again, go back and look at the Latin etymology of the word religion, religare has a dual purpose meaning. It can mean to bring together, to unify, which religion has the potential to do when the truth is out there. But it also means to bind, to hold back, to thwart from forward progress. So religion can also hold you back from discovering, from self-discovery, self-mastery. Religion can be another system of control. And it has been. Look at how fractured the Christian religion is. Into how many pieces and denominations has the Christian religion been fractured? Now, I'm not saying that there's truth in all of these religions. Buddhism, Jainism, Judaism, Islam. There's truth in all of these religions. All of them. It's your job to discern the truth from the lies. And that's through knowledge. You have to look for the hidden meanings. And in the last example, in the last episode, I talked, the analogy again about the fallen man. So we're going to get into those methods of manipulation. There's 12 to 15 of them or so, I think, that we're going to go over. There's many more than that. These are just the ones that they use primarily that I'm going to be touching on. The monetary system, control the monetary system. And people still have it. I'm not a slave. You're a debt slave. You're a debt slave. You're a pawn in a game that you don't even know is being played. So we're going to talk about those methods of manipulation in episode 2. I'm not going to spend much more time here. Just, like I said, a quick update to let you know that episode 1, part 3, 2 and 3 are posted up online, desertsagepodcasts.com. And in the introductory video, I made it clear that I had studied many religions and compared many religions throughout my studies. And I'd mentioned Buddhism in the last video, and I'd quoted the Buddha, and I'm going to quote the Buddha again as I close out here. The Buddha said, The biggest mistake that you can make on the path to the discovery of truth is not beginning and not going all the way. Those are the two mistakes that you can make on the discovery to truth. Not starting and not finishing, not going all the way. So with that, I'll leave you. Thank you for listening. Again, I know your time is valuable. Hell, I can only imagine if you're working, raising kids. They got you on that hamster wheel. And I know how valuable your time is to carve out. Even just a little bit of time to listen to these videos is difficult for you, and I get it. I understand it. And I greatly appreciate your time. Hopefully, you'll come to understand that this is time well spent. You could be doing other things. Could be on your fondle slab, posting, stuff on Facebook. And, and again, there are a lot of people that spend a lot of time on Facebook browsing content, posting memes. That's their way of expressing themselves in a way that they generally can't. And I think it's a great way. And I'd highly recommend that people continue to do that. Continue to use those memes as a way to express yourself. I'd recommend it. But I also recommend that you get out of the virtual world. You got to ask yourself the question, are you saying the same things in the virtual world that you're saying in the real world? And my point is you can only spend so much time in the virtual reality, the virtual world. Before you get up off the bench, you can't be a keyboard warrior the whole time. What are you doing in the real world? You can't afford to sit on the sidelines anymore. What about your interactions with your kids or your grandkids? What about your neighbors? Are you having these kind of discussions with them? The problem is that nobody wants to talk about this stuff. We've lost our ability to interact with each other in a meaningful way, to have dialogue, to have discourse, rhetoric, And we need to get that back. So I'd encourage you, while posting memes on Facebook, and that is laudable. It has its merits. Find a way to express yourself in real life. Hell, find a way to express yourself if you are going to do it online. Create your own memes. Find out what. You say, well, I don't want to spend the time to learn how to do all that stuff. Look, we're in the age where technology is being used against us. It's a tool that's being used against us. So you have an opportunity here to embrace it and to. I didn't want to have to, pick up and learn this stuff all over again. I had done a lot of this stuff before, so it kind of came easier for me. But it's still a lot of work. I get it. I understand that. I'm just asking you to reflect on how you're spending your time. That spiritual currency that I talked about before. What are you paying attention to? What are you spending your time on? That's all spiritual currency, and I'm just asking you to reflect on a few things here. So that being said, that's it for now. Thank you again for listening. Take care.